with another video. Alright, so my last video, which was called I Dated a Drug Addict, people were salty. Not like anybody to do with this story, but when I posted it on some of my groups on Facebook, you know, the typical drug addiction isn't funny, blah blah blah, you should have gotten him help, you're a horrible person for talking about this with no sympathy or empathy, there's something wrong with you, you need to get help, it's not funny, like all this stuff. I never said it was funny. They were like mad about the fact that I told it without pretty much crying and being like, oh, I feel so bad. Like I said, these people were like, well, we didn't even get through half of the video, it's not funny. Okay, like I said at the very end of the video, I said that it didn't feel like that was me. It doesn't feel like that happened to me, so therefore it's not going to be told as emotionally as it would if I wasn't like over it. I'm married now and like I'm fine, and honestly like that whole situation and that relationship and that like guy is so irrelevant now, like it doesn't even matter. These people were pretty much saying, you know, people are going to be like salty with me. They were saying like drug addiction is a disease and all this stuff. I'm sorry, but yes, it does turn into a disease, okay? But the people, unless forcibly given drugs for some like reason or like messed up situation, these people will try these drugs willingly. And if they're lucky enough to not get addicted on the first try, they do it again. And I'm sorry, but most people, I mean like most people are pretty well educated in the fact that drugs are addictive. People were like, well, so diabetes is a disease, so it must be a choice too. No, yes, you can make it worse and you can give into the disease, but you can get rid of it 99.9% of the time unless you have type 1 diabetes. And also diabetes runs in my family because they were trying to use it because of me. I'm pre-diabetic. It runs in my family, as does literally every other disease and cancer and illness and literally everything. So like once I have kids, I'm literally getting everything that I could possibly get taken out of my body taken out because everything runs in my family. Therefore, again, I am getting the surgery, hopefully. Still haven't gotten a call back yet. I'm getting paranoid. I am going to be getting the surgery for my health to fix that. Same thing as going to rehab and working on stopping that, except these people they refuse help. Okay, so like if I was given the opportunity to have the surgery and I said no, that I'm not going to get the surgery and work on myself afterwards, then yeah, I'm doing it to myself, like, because I could have done something about it. Same thing with drug addicts who refuse to go to rehab and then refuse to continue working on themselves after rehab. And that's just how I feel about that. People just want to defend addicts, and I don't really know why, because I guess they either are one themselves or they have family members that they just like refuse to accept that they aren't the same people that they were before the drug. I have family members, like lots of them, that are drug addicts, and it's hard. You can't love them the same way that you would love them if they weren't an addict. I'm not saying that you don't love them the same, but you can't do for them like you would if they weren't in that situation. I don't know if anybody like understands what I'm saying. You give them an inch and they take a mile, and they never and they don't better themselves. Like, they want money to do this with, and then they go buy drugs with it. You know, and then they complain and say nobody's there for them when all they do is take from people, and they come into your homes and they stay and they steal stuff and they disrespect rules. And, you know, you can't do the same for someone who has that kind of issue like you could for someone who doesn't. I know people who have went through it know. Like I said, they were saying, like, I should have gotten him help. Alright, I was 16. Okay, this guy was 21 years old. How was I supposed to get him help? I didn't even really know what was happening until, like, my mom, like, finally was to her head and could be like, no. As a 16-year-old, that was not my responsibility to take care of a guy who was, obviously, he was, like, taking advantage of my immaturity and, like, lack of understanding. So it just blows my mind how people can defend someone who is doing these things just because they're a drug addict and they can't help it. Disrespecting me and disrespecting my family, trying to turn me against my mom. Like, it was like a hot mess. And I do feel bad for him. Like, I really do. And I did at the time. But the reason why it's funny, it's not funny as to, like, oh, he is so messed up, blah, blah, blah. It's like, me and my mom call it the dark ages, okay? Because it was such a bad time. Like, I don't think people are understanding this. Like, it's not funny. It was, like, not fun. It was not fun at all. It was a horrible, like, time, and it was depressing, and, like, I feel so bad for treating my mom the way that I did at the time. Like, my mom, like I said in the last video, is my best friend, obviously, besides Dalton. And, like, to have agreed with a lot of the things that he said about my mom at the time, like, I don't even know what I was thinking. Like, I just thought I was all that and I knew everything, and obviously I didn't. He took advantage of that, but because he was on drugs, then he couldn't help it, and, like, that's not his fault, it's my fault. And I'm a horrible person for thinking it's funny. We use humor as, like, to cover up the fact of how bad it was. Like, if I really, like, showed the emotion that, like, I felt during the time, I would be, like, depressed as all get out. And I really don't want to get into that mindset, because it doesn't matter now, and I'm not going to force myself to be all like, just because people were like, oh, well, you're messed up because it's not funny. I'm not messed up. That's just how I'm telling it, because I'm not going to put myself back in the mind frame of, like, how I felt then. And this was 4 years ago. Like, obviously it's not going to be as raw and fresh as it would have been, like, if I told it as it was happening. It's not funny. And no, people were saying, like, I hope you got him help, and I hope he got help afterwards, and I hope he's doing good. No, he didn't get help, because he doesn't want help, and he didn't want help. He's been arrested like 40 times since then, and, like, I think the last time was literally in, like, June of this year. I think was the last time that I had seen it on Facebook pop up. So, I don't know. Obviously, at least so far, he hasn't got help, because he looks even worse than he did then. But that is not my fault, and it's not any other girl's fault, nor any other person's fault in the world. It's no one's fault but that person's fault. I just told the story of what happened to me and, like, my family and the situation that happened. I don't think drug addiction is hilarious like people think I do. No, it's not funny. I was just telling it as lightly as I possibly could, because it's, like, a deep situation. If I went into detail of all the arguments and, like, things that were said about my family, me, after I finally stopped the situation, things that he said that he was going to do. He said that he was going to come after the guy that I was dating at the time, and no one would touch a hair on my pretty little head. Literally said that once. He threatened to come to my school one time. He always made like dumb remarks, like stupid stuff like that, but still, like, that's not funny. I guess that's all for this video. I just wanted to clarify for the people that think I'm a horrible person, you know, that the situation now is not that deep, at least not to me. So I'm sorry if whoever was offended by this, but I can't really do anything about your feelings towards the situation. That was just how I told it and my feelings about it. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, leave it a big thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment and I'll see you next time. Bye.